All right, so let's pick up where we were. Just before we had that quick break, we started talking about priming themes. Now, does everyone know what I mean by priming themes? We're going to set up the session so perfectly that we could screw up everything else and it won't matter. It's like the chocolate cake, you make it, it looks horrible when it comes out of the oven, but it still tastes good, okay? For those bad cooks, me being one of them. Yes, that's it. Okay, so your goal here, obviously realize we only have 3 days with you. You really master this as an idea, you need to take this home and do homework. The best way to do this is to expand your vocabulary, get a thesaurus and learn to talk in these ways. Just remember, this is a simple principle. Your clients will come in negatively, with a negative mindset, even if they think nothing bad about hypnosis. They're excited, they're looking forward to it. All it takes is for you to start this right here, which is the interview, and start with what's the problem, and they tell you about it, they're instantly going to go negative. So we need to do the opposite and counteract that and keep them in a positive trance bubble. The environment they're in has to be positive. So how do we put this together? This priming sequence is a sequence. It's going to be a speech, like a pep talk. Who here has kids? You have a pep talk your kids before they run out on the field and kick all the goals and stuff like that? I don't have kids, but that's what I assume your parents do. You pep talk your kids to make them feel good and excited. They're a little bit nervous to go out and play with everybody else. So what we're going to do here is the same thing. We're going to pep talk our client for this reason. I want my client, and I've had this in the past, I want my client so excited about going into trance, they've told me to shut up and just get on with it. They've come in negatively and they're scared. By the time you do your priming sequence well enough, they're just like, just do it. I'm excited, I want to do it now, let me jump in. That's a really good reaction to a priming sequence. Make sense? So, who would think this would be a good idea? We just tick it off like a checklist. We just do something like this. Okay, Joe Blogg, sit next to me. All right, you're going to be safe. You good with that? Excellent. You're going to be tranquil? Good, Joe. Yes. You're going to be comfortable? Yep, Joe. Excellent. You're going to be energized? Joe, sound good? Excellent. I'll put that on the list too. What's wrong with that? I'm now telling him, definitely. There's no interaction there. So we need to make a speech with this. So in order to make this a speech, we need to add what are called linking words. These are really common exercise in the hypnosis industry. They're called power words in some places. They're called linking words in other places. They're words that you put in between other words to create what is a sentence or a speech. Okay? So we're going to play with these. We're going to play with the word and, because, which means, or just which, or means. Let's play with these ones. Okay? So what we're going to do in a group, you're going to set yourselves up in groups of maybe 4 people. Okay? Sit in a little circle. And what you're going to do from your list is, we're just going to work with the word and for now. You're going to pick one priming theme, so I might pick safety, and I actually have to use this word, and relax. And what I'm going to do is, it's going to be my turn. I'm going to say, you'll feel safe and relaxed. So I'm just going to join 2 ideas together. Then the next person might say, you'll be free and positive. They've joined ideas together. You're just going to go around in a group for a couple of minutes, just joining themes together by using the word and. Really simple. Any questions with that? You can add normal conversation into it too. One theme, link it together with the word and another theme. Make sense? Okay, then we're going to get really adventurous, and then we're going to use one theme and another theme and another theme. Everyone see where this is going? Whew. Everyone ready for that? Strap yourself in. Okay, so everyone cool with that? All we're learning right now is to start to speak like a hypnotist. This is called flow. Has anyone got emotional listening to a song before? You get caught in the emotion of the song. It's because the song flows. There's no break. It takes you on an experience and a ride. A hypnotist needs to learn how to flow with language. What we do wrong as a hypnotist, and what I see a lot of, is they concentrate so much on the language, but they can't flow with it. It's stunted, it's mechanical, it's awkward. I want to flow just like I'm having this speech with you now without thinking about it. Just like you would flow with conversation if your friend said to you, I've had a really bad day at work today. Can I talk about it with you? Of course you can. And you have that conversation with them. Everyone fine with that? Okay, let's do this for a minute or so. Yes?
I'm right with the exercise. It was more just a question of someone's come in, they're really nervous, and maybe they're a person that expresses that verbally, and I start going into you'll be safe and positive protector, and they're going
Yes.
exploding verbally.
Yes. What do you do with that? Yeah. Hold that question because I will get to it. It's a very easy way through that.
Okay.
And expect it. Okay, expect it. Everyone happy with this? Okay, get in groups of, just watch your feet if you've brought in cups and bottles. Get into groups of 4 and just have some fun for a couple of minutes. Just talk. Any issues linking 2 words together? That's the only prerequisite to pass this course. As long as we can do that. Some people have issues, that's fine. What I would like you to do now is double it. So you're going to say, you'll be enjoyable and find you can relax and think comfort and it will be effective. It's going to get awkward because I'm only allowing you to use this one word. Ands. Okay, 1 minute, go for it.
So we got a bit stuck on the word you will.
Yep.
It being a little bit directive, and perhaps we could use some other things. Thoughts,
Yep.
suggestions,
You will, you could, you can, you might. Any of those, yeah. Whatever naturally comes out of your mouth is better than trying to think of every single word. Okay? Yes, some people might say, well, you will is very direct, but if it's muffled with another 100 things that you've said, they're going to get lost in that anyway. Okay? What's important is the principle, which is flow. Whether you say you will, you can, you can't, you might, you nearly can, don't do it yet, but you might in a second before you, doesn't matter what you say, whatever natural to you, because whatever natural way you speak, become less stunted. As soon as you try and start to sound like another hypnotist or try and sound too crazy too quickly, people go, what are you trying to do to me? Why are you talking like that? I know you don't talk like that. Already, barrier comes up. Okay? So guys, do this again, double it. Just link them all together with the word and then we'll explore the rest of these words. Limited in our ability to express the flow by just using the word and. Okay, it's counterproductive just to be saying you'll be safe and feel control and you'll enjoy it and you'll learn and you'll find yourself and you'll feel comfort. The principle's there, but it's not expressed correctly. So what I want us to do now is let's try the word because as well and see what happens when you put them all together. Okay?
Does that mean we're using because and as well?
Yes, because and because if you use because long enough and, so it might sound like this, you'll feel safe and feel comfort because hypnosis is natural, because all you need to do is learn about yourself and from yourself and feel free by finding yourself because you're protected and I'll look after you. Okay? Wow. Still not there yet, but we're expressing it. It should open up your vocabulary a little bit. But what you're learning to do is, let me give you this. What on earth does being protected and feeling positive have to do with each other? Nothing to do with each other. But if you link them together, they start to become one. It becomes an idea rather than a word. How do you know you're safe? You feel it. You don't say to yourself, I'm safe, I must be safe. You feel safe. You feel protected. So the words are irrelevant. So if you make no sense while doing this, it will have a better outcome and your client will feel it. I don't want my client, or I should say this, I don't expect my client to agree with all of this. That's not the point. But I do need them to feel it. Same with you as a hypnotist. If you feel calm as a hypnotist, it's a lot easier to tell somebody else to feel calm. If you feel protected, safe, at ease, you feel effective, you feel uplifted, it's easier to express that idea. You connect with them at an unconscious level. They start to feel what you feel, and you feel what they feel. That's an unconscious connection.
At what part of the introduction dialogue are you doing the setup or priming?
Excellent. I'll give you the example. So let's say Joe Bloggs has come in, I've sat Joe down, I've done the paperwork. So look, Joe, before we begin the session, let me tell you what it's all about. Bang, 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 bang. Couple of minutes. There'll be a couple of things you'll look for while doing this to know you've done it long enough. When I'm seeing those signs, which we'll look at soon, I then move into this, which is the interview. Okay? It all becomes one. It's going to become one long conversation. There's no intermediate in between. Okay? Well, like I said, If you do this well enough and you start telling your client to feel positive, in control, you'll look after them, what do you think you're going to start to see in them?
Comfort.
You'll see them get comfortable. You might see them smile. You might see them start to get excited. You might see all of these things, which lets you know they're feeling the very words. If, however, you're telling them to feel these words and they're getting more upset, more on edge, at those things, you start to define that, and that's what they become. That's what they start to feel. Does that make sense? Okay. So guys, give this a go. And Mikaz, have some fun. Couple of minutes.
All right.
Yes.
So you said before the client may not agree with some of the words,
Mm-hmm.
but because you're linking them all together, you're linking the ones that they do agree with
Yes.
to the ones they don't agree with.
Eventually, it's just gonna evolve into just an amalgamation of something. The worst thing we can do at this point is me say, okay, John, you're going to feel safe. Are you okay with that? Actually, no. I've already hit a brick wall. But if, however, I just keep overloading you, while you're arguing this word, I've got you consciously arguing something, all of these other ones are slipping in, so to speak.
And the ones they like.
The ones they like. They'll pick the ones they like. Yeah. Okay. And it all comes down to this. What we're doing right now is we're getting this A part done. And as a matter of fact, by learning how to flow, we're going to start to experience this soon, which I'll talk about, which is bypass the conscious mind. Okay? So what I would like you to do this time, again, we're going to drill the same thing, but now I want you to add which means, or just which, or just means, and the word as. There's another one. These aren't exclusive. They're just linking words. So you might say you'll feel protected, which means that you feel comfort as soon as it's long-term inside your mind, and learn from yourself in an enjoyable environment which makes you free because you're in control, safe, positive, and feeling fantastic. Are you ready to start?
Wow.
You wouldn't say it that fast, but that's what I want to happen. You're going to start to flow.
And the question at the end, are you ready to start? Is that
Yes.
to see, is that to get a
Yeah.
commitment or verbal?
Yes. Yes. Just to see, they might say, well, as a matter of fact, I need to go to the bathroom first. Can I do that first? Okay. But yes, you'll be able to tell they're ready to start before you even ask them. Just to be a link into that. It's just a transition. Yes.
So Scott, you're saying that if their conscious mind gets stuck on a word that they don't like,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually got their attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the stuff that's slipping in is their own conscious attention.
Exactly.
So you've got their attention on both
You
words.
bypass the conscious mind.
So in a way, it actually could be quite effective that you use a word that they actually have resistance to.
Yeah, if you see they have resistance to it, I wouldn't aim to keep using it because I want to keep it in the context of happy and fun. But if you see it and you see your client go, oh, I don't like that, don't stop. Don't say, oh, hang on, let me start again, I screwed up. Just keep going. Yeah, don't let them interrupt you. Just keep talking. There's other things we're going to add to it, but the principle is we just need to talk. We're learning to flow with language right now. We're setting up the trance bubble. So what's going to happen is they might not agree with you consciously. Okay? But what we're hoping is that the unconscious mind collects all these words and sets up everything so our client then falls into that trance, and what's waiting for them? All of this stuff. Because we've told the unconscious mind to. Does that make sense? That's essentially where we're going. Okay? So try them all. You've got and, because, which means, and as. Put it all together. Okay? So you should be able to speak for at least 30 seconds without umming and ahhing. Should be. Okay? See how you go. And then we'll add some more exercises to make this easier. All right, folks. How do we go? Who found that a little bit easier by having more things to say and more ways to link it? Again, we could spend 3 days just learning this. But it becomes counterproductive. These are things you learn to do in your own time. Or just listen to me a lot and you'll pick it up even quicker. Okay? So the principle here I want to tease out, and I think principles are important, and I'll tell you why. There's 2 ways you can become a hypnotist. You can become a technique-driven hypnotist. That means you're always going to have to refill your bag of the latest techniques. And if you've done a Google search on hypnosis techniques or NLP techniques, there are millions. Okay, there are millions and millions and millions and millions, which is fine. I'm extremely lazy. I don't like to learn new things. I like to learn what works. I like to stick with it. Okay? Business, on the other hand, yes, but when it came to hypnosis, I realized quickly there's so much that needs to be done, but there's so little of it that needs to actually be used. Okay? I found that a lot of the things I was told to use, even from my mentors, didn't really need to be used in the context they told me to, and I found myself wasting a lot of time. I was forever learning language patterns. I was forever looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technique-driven skills, and they're fine. Some people enjoy that, that's great. The other version of a hypnotist is you can spend your time gathering up all these techniques and breaking them down into principles. Instead of expressing the technique, you express the principle. There's not a lot of hypnotists that can do that successfully, but the ones they do, when I see them do it, it floors me because I don't even know what they're doing. There's a level of expertise there. So I do want to teach you how to start finding out what's the principle in things so you can start to apply that for yourself and make that decision. So the principle here that we're hoping from this language is to realize this. What you are saying now does not matter. The words are irrelevant because the word protected for me means something different to you. The word safety for me means something different to you. So it can't be the words that have an effect. The effect we're banking on is, I'll put it up here, overload. A classical example of bypassing the conscious mind is by overloading it with too much information. Too much that it gets so lost in what you're trying to say that it just gives up and the unconscious mind can be released and express itself. They start to feel it. Does that make sense? So by overloading our client successfully, we've got their attention because we've told them, hey, just before we start, we're going to do this. If we do this priming sequence well enough, we're overloading them. Okay, so we're bypassing the conscious mind. So this is the sneaky thing we're doing right now. Who likes sneaky things? I do. Do you realize by doing this well enough, you're actually putting your client into trance before you even get to here, where it's supposed to be? We're at the first step. This is not where they're supposed to go into trance. But by doing this well enough, they will. Isn't that a bit sneaky? Which should make you think, well, hang on, if I do this well enough, by the time I get to the induction, they're probably 3/4 of the way there anyway, then it doesn't matter what I do here because they're already there. Does that make sense? By overloading the conscious mind, you are indirectly putting them into trance. They'll start to get confused. They'll start to experience some sort of emotion. They'll daze off. They might give you more attention, less attention. We'll look at those in a moment. So by doing this well enough, priming them, they start to feel what you're saying. Where do emotions come from? The unconscious mind. So again, indirectly, if your client is starting to feel safety, they're starting to smile because they're getting excited, you have bypassed their conscious mind and they're feeling the words and the experience, which means you're putting them into trance. Isn't that sneaky? The reason why this is important, because hypnotists, what they tend to do, and me as well, when I say we, I do mean we, me as well, is they will section up the session. First 10 minutes is this, next 15 minutes is this, next 10 minutes this, and so on and so forth. And with the amount of us learning NLP, hypnosis, coaching, there's a whole bunch of these out there, you don't want your clients following along. Okay, because if they can follow along, they'll start to think things like, oh, I wouldn't have said that, or I caught what you're doing. You're trying to do that to me. And already you've lost them. So by flowing with conversation, flowing with these words, you're indirectly going to put them into a trance. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, we have 3 days to explore this further. You're going to see this very soon. Okay. Any questions on this so far?
You mentioned up front that you want to have their attention.
Yes.
That's A is you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting a bit confused with that and the fact that even in this bit they might go off somewhere. Haven't I lost their attention if that happens? Good
question. There's a big difference between them losing attention because they're overloaded compared to, oh, this is so boring, I'm going to think about something else. Have you ever seen someone when you talk to them, they defocus on you, but you know they're still looking at you? That's what I want to happen. These are called unconscious moments. We're going to get to that. Okay? If I see my client starting like you did just then, exactly. And the long eye blink, thank you again. That's what I'm banking on. Okay? So I just talk and talk because I know you'll make sense eventually. It's easy just to agree with me. Okay? Yes. Okay? So, Let me clarify this again. By doing the priming sequence well enough, you are indirectly creating a hypnotic trance. Now, we'll need to further my point. Hypnosis doesn't always look like this. Don't ever think it does. Hypnosis can look like this. Hypnosis, eyes can be open, closed, halfway open. One eye open, one eye closed. No emotion, heaps of emotions. Heaps of talking, no talking. Client stuck to their chair. Arms lifting, legs lifting. Anything can happen. We have to get it out of our mind that hypnosis always has to be eyes closed and relaxing, because it definitely doesn't. It can be the case, but if that's all you're looking for, you'll miss all the other wonderful ways people can go into trance. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? So, before we move on, just to clarify my point even further, and give you some more examples, because I need to, is don't just take my word for it that I'm saying it's going to create a trance. How about I show you what to look for, so you know completely that the priming is working. Would you guys like to experience this? Okay? Yes, I like the yes. Did everyone get this down?
Yep.
Okay. While I'm erasing this board, what I would like you to do in your groups is answer this question. And you can base it off your own experience as well. What does hypnosis feel like? What do you think it looks like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Answer all those questions, and we're going to make a bunch of themes of what hypnosis might look like. I'll give you the first couple. Might be relaxing. Someone might change their posture. Their breathing might slow down or speed up. Let's make a list of these, and then we're going to put them formally on the board for us to look at. Make sense? Because these are the clues that we need to look for to let us know when to move on to the next part. If we don't see these clues, we keep doing this. If we see plenty of those clues, we know it's time to move on. Does that make sense? So we're taking out all assumptions. Okay? Communication is only 7% verbal. So where's the rest of it? Your client's body and their posture and the way they express themselves will tell you more about what's going on inside their head than the way they can formally tell you. Does that make sense? So we want to start banking on that. A lot of hypnotists talk that, but a lot of them don't know how to use that appropriately. So I want to teach you guys how to use it appropriately. Start to see things in your client that they don't know is happening, and they walk away from your session going, what the hell was that? No idea. So we got a few down? Just a couple. All right. So I'm going to label these as unconscious moments. Okay. So an unconscious moment is a pure expression of the unconscious mind. It's the unconscious mind in action. Okay, so our job as a hypnotist is to pay really close attention to your client at all costs. If you're sitting there doing this, you'll miss them. And those unconscious moments will tell you more about what needs to be done than anything your client can tell you. Any thought you think that needs to be done and any technique you think your client needs, these unconscious moments will tell you more about what needs to happen rather than what you think needs to happen. Does that make sense? So what is an unconscious moment? Well, in classical terms, they're noticed as hypnotic cues. I call them hypnotic clues. It's a clear expression of the unconscious mind that lets you as the hypnotist know that your client is either going into trance or they're not. That's it. If you see or hear an unconscious moment, they're going into trance. Or the unconscious mind's expressing itself. Same thing. When the unconscious mind expresses itself, that means trance. If you do not see or hear an unconscious moment, what do you think that means? Keep doing it. They're not in trance. Do not overcomplicate that equation. I did for 18 years and realised how simple it was. Okay? So if you're priming, knowing that you're priming has the advantage to create a trance, Would you want to do that? Saves a lot of time. So if you're banking that your priming is going to be done so well, and let's say you're talking, you're overloading your client, and you start to see an unconscious moment, what does that tell you about what you're doing? It's working. You're on the right track. If you're not seeing any of these, what is that telling you?
They're not overloading enough.
Haven't overloaded them enough. You either keep doing what you're doing or do something else. It's that simple. Okay? So let's look at what I mean by see and hear. What would you see if a client was going into trance? What would be a common visual clue that lets you know that something trance-like is happening? Sorry? Yep. So the breath, you'll almost hear that as well. These are interchangeable as well. Your breathing will either increase or decrease. Don't think it just decreases because that means relaxation. I've had clients look like they're hyperventilating and feeling comfortable at the same time. Really strange, okay? So the breath is either going to increase or decrease. Sometimes it decreases so much, it doesn't even look like they're breathing. It's that shallow that you don't want to go any further than that because that's a different therapy altogether. But you just be mindful that they do need to breathe, but it's sometimes very, very shallow. Okay, what else do you think we'd see?
Eye movement.
Eye movement, yep. So flickering. Now this is interesting. If you're doing more conversational trances, which is what we're trying to experience, what we'll experience over the 3 days, is even when your client's eyes are closed, you'll see them still searching for things. Have you ever seen a child dream heavily and their eyes move around? Same thing, okay?
That rapid eye.
Rapid eye movement, yes. If the eyes are flickering while you're talking to somebody, they're blinking a lot, that's a good sign that something more unconscious is happening. What I mean by more unconscious, it's out of their control, it's automatic. And most of the times they don't even know they're doing it until you put their attention on it. Okay, so what else might we see?
Relaxing.
Definitely relaxing. So we're going to put posture. You'll see either someone relax or someone get really, really tense. Same thing, they can both be utilised to our advantage. It doesn't just have to be all relaxation and calming. What else might we see?